Hello everyone, this is Defacto Review with me, Chargal Tampatarcha. We highlight every week three most important events to our mind happened in Mongolian social, political and economic life of the country. And this week we highlight the following three issues. One is Prime Minister Oyun Irdin interview, extended interview over than 1 hour, to Mongolian national TV. Second issue about meeting of two largest political parties chairs meeting, Democratic and People's Party. Third topic is about Tsagaan, the Lunar New Year. Okay, let's start the first issue. Prime Minister Oyun Irdin gave interview the day before the eve of the Lunar New Year to national TV. The interview was almost 2 hours, and the interview was very comprehensive. It is a kind of, one can compare it with the State of Union address of the U.S. or other many countries where the executive power head gives kind of report to their people just before the end of the new year. In Mongolia, it was the new year, the year of the end of the old year, and the just before meeting the new year. In Mongolia, it was the February 20th, which is the eve of the new year, and this interview was given on 19th. Very interesting and comprehensive interview. That's why I'm very much specify several points. But I would like to see at the bigger picture. I would like to see I highlight for you from three perspectives. One is political, economic, social perspectives, what the Prime Minister has said. So let's start with the political aspects of his speech, interview, in fact. So he talked about the state of governance of Mongolia. He talked about corruption, judiciary. All are very hot issues. At least these are the topics, the problems that hindering our progress forward in Mongolia. So he talked about the state of the governance like this. First, he said, we have a secret or gray economy based on mining. And this gray economy, people who is running the economy, is also financing political parties. And they also control judiciary, prosecutor. It's a very serious statement. The second, he said, I highlight the particular his speeches into that groups, 1, 2, etc. So the second one is, he said that the unofficial state, cannot, he says, official state is now weaker than this state the power run by the unofficial groups. And he named the groups like Copper Group and Coal Group. And not surprisingly, because before the copper was almost 70% of our export. Now it's about 40%, and another 40% is by coal. And both are controlled by an official group, according to him. And these two groups make the Prime Minister as they want, moving. And he specified revealed interesting facts. He said that the recent January called days, demonstrations, were started originally in a very organic way, but it was taken by several people, including the former fired head of Erdenes Tavan Tolgoi Kang Hoyag and Otan Jargal, who was in charge of the railway project, and other people of former Mongolian Student Union who were misusing tender and making their own personal wealth under this company. And they were going through to the student storm and financing them. That was the Prime Minister's statement. And also this demonstrations were also supported by people who had issued coins. And also he had mentioned the name of Batirdin of Ajnai Corporation, who is parliament member from the Democratic Party, who owns shares in the so-called local Tavan Tolgoi, because they are part of this whole Tavan Tolgoi deposit, owned by local people, including him who is from that province. The Prime Minister said that these people were financing the demonstrations. He also went further, saying that up to now, 49% of Erdenet is 49% taken from Russia, bought from Russia, and Kohl Group. These people are also interconnected with the murder of Zaruk, the former Democratic Party minister. And he said that since 1998, Erdenet copper companies' heads were nominated by this group. And the recent fact, when they have bought 49% of the Erdenet with public money, is done in cooperation with the general agency, the Erdenet 49% was taken by Mongolian prosecutors group, general intelligence agency people, and president. At that time, president was Ilbigdorj. And also he said that now the criminal file case of Erdenet 49%, and also Development Bank of Mongolia, coal theft, the three major criminal or corruption cases are now transferred to the court because the investigation's job was good. But now he said, I doubt that the court will complete the resolution on these issues. Very interesting statement by the Prime Minister of a country. And also he said, why? He said that he has a strong doubt about the court judges who were not expected to make decisions against the people who are nominated them. Very serious statement. And because he said that half of the judges, current judges now, nominated by the President Batolga and the President Ilbigdorj. There have been just a rumor, but there was never such a statement by the head of the cabinet before. The other thing he said, very interesting, he said that after every election, group of commercial banks heads sit down together and say that I will take care of the administrative court heads. You will take care of the criminal court heads, meaning that they will nominate or they will control these cases. Look, it was said by the Prime Minister, and it shows how deep and serious is all this issue. But good thing is he said that. It gives certain optimistic feeling for ordinary Mongolians that once he is saying that, probably there's more probability that he will do it. But however, the cabinet is not running the court system, and that's why he said that we need only now your support, public support. In fact, the government of Mongolia, the cabinet of Mongolia had announced this year, 2023, a year of combating corruption. And they have specific 5 programs to fight corruption, including having a special protection for whistleblowers, for example, bringing criminals from abroad, or confiscating their properties, etc. 5 programs they have announced. Hopefully it will be done. At least this is the people's expectation. But the good thing is about this statement of the Prime Minister is he is asking the public to support him. Indeed, he is the first Prime Minister in the country who is taken serious over the corruption combat in this country. The social aspect, so some economic aspect of his speech, few words. He said that now the GDP per capita will reach $5,000. It's now over $4,000. And his main argument is now the Rio Tinto sent letter to him that 34% of Mongolian ownership, which had $2.3 billion so far, is now not anymore there. It's 100% cut off, written off, or whatever it is. But this is Mongolia has not to pay that amount of money. Otherwise, if it will go, if it was going as it is, it could reach $22 billion that Mongolian government is to pay to this project, which is quite questionable. How questionable was this whole idea of having 34% by Mongolian government and paying for that? March 13th is historic day because we are expecting the Rio Tinto will open the underground mine finally, and the Mongolian economy is expected to be double larger from 2027 after this project is on. And now also he said that he is optimistic because now the power that Oyu Electric Power is buying from Inner Mongolia, now they will make the power on station, and this power station's tariff is agreed already. He said rather high, which will make the project good, he said, more effective. And now in this year, 2023, the tender will be announced and the construction will start. The other thing he had mentioned about his new recovery policy, about the ports, railway roads, auto roads, which altogether will make three new ports will be railway ports coming to China will be opened, and altogether it will make the export of Mongolian, mostly coal, 2 or 3 times now bigger. And also he said that since 1990, Mongolian economy went down or minus twice, and one of them was recently. But now if the budget was 20% with deficit 20%, and he said that when we open all the border, our ports, then if we open the secret economy or gray economy, we will have a substantial recovery in 2023. And he also said that we will solve the issue of public transport in Ulaanbaatar city, and Mongolia will receive 1 million tourists this year. That's the year of welcoming to Mongolia year, and looks like the government is spending or investing certain money to the tourism infrastructure in the country. So as a result of all this thing, the economy will be at the level of 55 trillion MNT, and substantial extension of GDP, and per capita income will be again $5,000. That's his economic aspects of his speech. Now finally, about a few words about the social aspects of his speech. Mongolian government had for the first time the health check, comprehensive health check for all citizens of the country. And for the last year, since its announcements, 1/4 of the Mongolian population had done through this preliminary, through this public check, health check, and though it's relatively small, and he said that, Prime Minister said that now this health check will be directed to the countryside mostly, and every 2 years a Mongolian citizen will have this health scanning, health check. And also he's announced a new program, national program for this year called Tooth, meaning that they will check every citizen's health, the mouth health issues. And we will solve the issue of maternity house, and we will introduce e-medical services to the country, he said. And he had also mentioned about the child money, which is around 1.3 trillion MNT at the time when the economy is only 40 trillion and the budget is 12 trillion. And we should not regard the children money as a care, social care, but we will find a way having this money given to every child from the fund that is accumulated from the mineral wealth. That was his statement. So these are in brief of the statement he made during the interview the day before Tsagaan Sar, and I have especially highlighted this speech to you because we have never seen this kind of statements by the head of the executive power in this country. They have been talking about combating corruptions, but they were never was doing, at least acting as this prime minister, and this prime minister is asking support of public civic society, and which I find very important step towards combating corruption, towards strengthening democracy, and towards parliamentarian system strengthening. And including, by the way, about the parliamentarian system, he had said that on constitutional change, he will support any changes that, for example, any changes in the constitutions as soon as the people, general public, accept it. So most probably there will be a referendum to amend or change the constitutions. Not the politicians or parliament will do that. That's what he said. Now let's talk about the second topic. This is about the meeting of two chairs of two largest political parties of Mongolia. On the 20th of February, new chairman of Democratic Party, Antomur, and Democratic Party, People's Party chair, the Prime Minister Oyurt'in meeting was held. This meeting was attended by a caucus of two political parties, head of caucus of two political parties as well, Mr. Sochtgirel and Mr. Tohtohsurin. So the Prime Minister of Mongolia, who is the head of People's Party as well, he said that there is no Mongolia of People's Party or Democratic Party or Hung Party. There is just one Mongolia. If we compare the state with the Gir, there are two columns, and one of them is Democratic Party. And that's why we have to give proper evaluation of last 30 years, check our plus and minuses, pro and cons, and then we should proper conclusion and should move forward. That's why democracy, strengthening the democracy in Mongolia, making better the parliamentarian governance, and checking the structure of the state. In that way, for these purposes, to change the law of the political parties, election law, and these two laws are supposedly to be discussed and approved at the spring session of the Mongolian parliament. And he hopes that the newly elected chair of Democratic Party will support in that regard. That's what his statement. And the Democratic Party, new leader Khan Tumur said that we will support Prime Minister Oyuirden in his evaluation of last 30 years, and also his effort to structure change of the state, and to have access to have a economy accessible by all, economic achievements accessible by all, to develop further classical parliament system and introduce mixed election system and replace unequal distribution of natural wealth and combating corruption and stop state theft of property. All these works that Prime Minister Oyuirden started, we will support Democratic Party. And he said that also as opposition party, we will be against bad things, and we will support good things, and accept that many years all the structure that is not working to be changed. So that's basically what he said in general. But however, my question is, the chairmanship of Mr. Khan Tumur, which is validated by the Supreme Court, which is registering political parties, which has been refusing to register previous 6 chairs of the Democratic Party, and they have suddenly accepted Mr. Khan Tumur candidacy as a chair of the Democratic Party, and the remaining part of the part of Democratic Party headed by Mr. Irdin, the former head of the political party, this political party, who owns the stamp. And it's a big deal in this country. The stamp is the symbol of power, a symbol of true power of any institutions in this country. And looks like they have been celebrating New Year separately, and they have been opposing the decisions of the Supreme Court accepting Mr. Khan Tumur as the head of the Democratic Party, and it looks like they will appeal to the administrative court of Mongolia. So this is the brief information about the two parties' chairs meeting in the country, and what we ordinary people need in this country before the election is truly functioning opposition political party. Because democracy, true democracy in a country, in particular a young democratic country like Mongolia, it's very risky to have just one political party dominant for that so many years as we have in Mongolia. So hopefully they will solve the issue of chairmanship somehow all together, the Democratic Party members, and we will have a solid and sound opposition party in the face of the Democratic Party of Mongolia. That's my second topic. Okay, the third topic I would like to highlight today is about Tsagaan Sar. Tsagaan Sar meaning, nominally, Tsagaan Sar means the white month. Also, the other translation, the Lunar New Year, because it's following the Lunar New Year calendar, which is a bit different than the rest of Asia. For example, the rest of Asia have celebrated the Tsagaan Sar, or the Lunar New Year, a month ago. Mongolia nowadays, it was February 20th is the eve, and 21st was the first year of the year of rabbit, and 60 years cycle. It was a 70th 60 years cycle, the first day. Interestingly, next year it will be also February 10 and to 13, but in 2025 it will be the end of January. After that, all Tsagaan Sar will be in the February of every year till 2030. My first question: why is such a difference between the rest of Asia? First of all, Tsagaan Sar is it is the celebrating the beginning of spring. For nomads, it has a great sense because they are overcoming hard winter and are meeting new, warmer spring, and all animals we take care of, we grow for their life living. They started to give birth from day of spring day or Tsagaan Sar. So if it was like in Asia, it could be a month before here, and a month before in Mongolia it was very cold days, minus 30s, at some places minus 40s. So definitely the calendar is, I think, the right one. Tsagaan Sar is a very big holiday, winter holiday for Mongolians. It means white moon, as I said. It is celebrated from 13th century when Temujin became the Genghis Khan in 1206. And he was specially ordered a celebration of Tsagaan Sar in spring, aiming to raise peace, kindness, and respect among the people. However, in the year between 1950s and mid-70s, Tsagaan Sar was not celebrated in cities. It was only celebrated as a herdsman holidays. It was one of the schooled approach of communist system to all traditions by the order of the Russian communists, who were always very fragile to any comment in any events in Mongolia celebrating our nationality. They found that if Tsagaan Sar is celebrated, it is too much nationalistic. Mongolians, the Mongolians were too nationalistic, so the Politburo, the Communist Party that time Mongolia have followed it, and it have forbidden these holidays, festivities, because it was too much symbolic of nationalism in Mongolia. Of course, it did not succeed, and since 1988, Mongolia is celebrating the tradition in full swing. And every year I see it's becoming wider and wider. And actually it's some kind of, whatever was forbidden, once it's open, then it goes deeper, bigger, higher. So Tsagaan Sar, many of you know well, and I have noticed this year many ambassadors were giving in Mongolian National Day greetings to Mongolians in Mongolian language. There was very, very friendly sounds. Even almost all countries, the ambassadors try to, they give greetings in Mongolian. Well, Tsagaan Sar is a particular tradition, holidays for us. It has several components. It takes almost a month to prepare for Tsagaan Sar holiday, Tsagaan Sar. People have to welcome the new year and celebrate the Tsagaan Sar with an optimistic mind, kind heart, and pure soul without dark thoughts. So that's the whole preparations. And on the eve of the Tsagaan Sar, which is called Bitung, Bitung means covered in direct translation, but covered means Bitung, that night you cannot see the moon. That's why it's called covered or Bitung. And that night, this eve, we have particular eating and particular ceremony, and by that night on the eve, your household to be very clean, and you need to work on that for quite some time. The homes, clothes, and people must be cleaned too. Mongolians believe that good luck comes where there is a cleanliness. In this regard, there is tons of preparations work before Tsagaan Sar. Tsagaan Sar about Tsagaan Sar foods and drinks. They serve milk tea. Milk tea in Mongolia has not only milk but also salt. Though lately the people drink tea without salt. There is another food called tsagalag. It's a rice. You should taste when you are visiting Mongolian homes. Tsagaan Sar. It's made with the curd, rice, and the raisin, combined with clotted cream. There is also main food, or main, pastry, is hibimbov. We call it also olbov. It's like shoe sole type, and it's made with the patterns in the center, which are stamped with a wooden pattern. So it has also how many pastry you should put, hibimbov you should put on the plate. There is a ceremony of four, at least four. There should be four in different layers. The four means directions, directions, but layers is very important. It's a happiness, suffering, happiness, so it should end with the happiness or with the odd amount of the layers. It's a whole philosophy of life, because you start happiness and you end with the happiness. There is oats, or also recently people also put, instead of oats, which is a sheep's whole back with its fatty tail. But also they replace it some also with the chest of the cow or ox. They, in both cases, boiled 2 or 3 days before the Tsagaan Sar. Then in a big pot full of water with salt and left outside for freezing. So there is a whole ceremony way to start eat that oats. They start to eat on the eve of Bitung, or on the eve of the New Year, and the starting there. Everything has so many traditions. You should see that. It's a good opportunity for you to visit Mongolian family, Mongolian Ger, if you are invited to see, to understand who are the Mongolians and what is their traditions, etc. There is also ayrık. It's a fermented mare's milk, also known as ayrık. There is a bot. It's kind of dumpling, which is usually filled with beef, mutton, etc. So the whole things are there, and the particular things, two things I would like to highlight. On the eve of Tsagaan, you have to complete not only the cleaning everything, but also you have to pay completely your debt if you own anything. And if you are offended, or you just clean not only outside but the inside, so that Tsagaan you come, you meet with a completely open heart, open mind, and open more friendship, more kindness. The other thing is on Tsagaan, the first day of the new year, you go to the eldest in the family, in the whole group of your relatives, and you meet the most senior person with your extended hand, and your palm to be upward, and the other person goes like this, and it's kind of supporting the senior people, etc. You start from the most senior people, go down younger and younger, and you go. You should not miss that chain of the sequences of these greetings. An interesting thing is wife and husband don't do that. We call it tzadgot. So, etc., etc. It's a lot of things to talk, but I think this Tsagaan is some holiday that make everybody happy, everybody full of different food, and you really eat a lot because you visit all these people, and usually the 30 minutes visit on the average, I think. So the people go around, and this time I saw very less car on the first, second, third day of the Tsagaan. First day I saw cars not with one person, many persons. So I think that's one of the reasons why less car. The other reason is many people from Ulaanbaatar city left for countryside where their parents are. You know, for the last 30 years, Ulaanbaatar population had increased almost 2.5 times, which shows that it is the first generation of the immigrants from countryside to Ulaanbaatar city. So that's Tsagaan about, and I hope many of you have enjoyed Tsagaan in Mongolia. And again, if you want to understand more about Mongolia and Mongolian traditions, visit Tsagaan time. Thank you very much for having watched this program, and we have highlighted 3 events of Mongolia from last week. Thank you very much for being with us, and see you next week.